Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to Season 16 of the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series, presented by SM Racing Products. Tonight, we are here for a rather big event here for the series. Tonight, we crown not only the champion of season number 16, but the champion for the overall 2024 Gen 4 championship as well. 36 weeks of competition, and it has all come down here tonight at Homestead Miami Speedway. Second time that the league has ever actually been to this track. First time was back in 2023, and the win was taken by none other than Mr. Brian Sabelski. And of course, following the Real World 2003 season here, it was none other than Bobby Labonte that took home the win in the Real World at this track. And it was none other than Matt Kenseth that took home the 2003 championship. Coming into tonight's event, it's looking like Brandon Feeney is the driver to beat to take home the 2024 Gen 4 championship here tonight, while Brian Sabelski leads the field with a slight point advantage for the season number 16 championship. That said, drivers are making their way down to the starting grid, so we will take a look down there and see how things will be shaken up tonight before we take a look down here at how the point standings will be coming into tonight's event. Starting out on the pole here in the number 85 in the Nihon Tiger entry, the driver going for his 5th ASRC season win. That will be the number 85 of Brian Sabelski. Starting his outside in the number 50, that will be none other than Mark Royce in the Harley-Davidson entry, driver out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, rolling it off position number 2. Back in thirds is the number 15 of Garrett Streets in the SM Racing Products entry, one of the founders of the SM Racing Products crew who helped put this league, or not this league together, but this organization that sponsors the league together. Of course, Streets being the S in SM Racing Products. He's rolling it off position number 3. Back in fourth, that's going to be Mark Kluge in a new paint scheme here this evening. Actually, no, it's not. That's Mark Kluge back there in the brand entry back there and back in fourth. It is his teammate that is running a new paint scheme here this evening. Back in fifth, though, going to be League Administrator Jason Gardner in the ASRC number 93, rolling it off position number 5. Back in sixth, in the Liqui 38, that is going to be our championship prospective driver, Brandon Feeney, back in position number 6. Back in seventh is going to be the K9P driver in a new entry. That will be the 188 of Joshua Rudolph in the Z-Line Designs entry. Then it's going to be Daniel Sparks back in 8th, followed by the C3 Robotics 24 of Corey Logan and Michael Sparks rounding out the tail end of the field here as the green flag goes up in the air for championship night here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Side by side down into turn number 1 for Royce and Sabelski. Doesn't look like either lane here has too drastic of an advantage on this initial start. Really good work by drivers on both lanes here not to mess up that initial start, because we have definitely seen drivers have a little bit of issues sometimes on these initial restarts. So far so good though. Brian Sabelski falling back a couple of spots there, all the way back down in 4th right now. Royce around him, Kluge around him, Garrett Streets around him here as well. Streets, a driver we have not seen run very often here in season number 16, but great to see him out here on the speedway. Did say he wanted to at least try and take home 1 or 2 wins here for this 2024 championship, and off on early lead, or not an early lead, but at least a pretty decent good start for him in that number 15 machine to find himself up in 3rd. Driver that is already a lap down though, Jason Gardner, looks like he might have had some issues with that ASRC number 93. Might have had to start from pits there, because now he's looking about right. He was being scored as a lap down there, but I do believe he actually elected to start from the pits here. Looks like he might be having some technical difficulties here on that sim rig of his as well. So that might be why he elected to start from pits. Currently running back in the 10th position, but it does look like he is actually on the lead lap here, which is good to see. Currently looking down at Brandon Feeney in that Liqui 38, though. Driver running back in the 5th position right now. And he's the driver that everyone is talking about here tonight. Of course, currently leading the 2024 Gen 4 Championship. by about 184 points over Jason Gardner and another 106 over Joshua Rudolph back in third. So chances are, with Gardner having that rough start, I don't think there's really any risk for Feeney here tonight unless something goes absolutely catastrophically wrong for that driver. He should be good to go to take home the overall 2024 championship. Question is, will he be able to take home another win along with it? Of course, Feeney also is competing along with Brian Sabelski here for just this 12-week period for the Season 16 championship. Sabelski leads that battle by 98 points right now. And really, that's probably going to come down to how these drop weeks factor in after tonight's event to really figure out who the champion will be between those two drivers, because it is very close between the two of them. Michael Sparks back in third is actually only 41 points outside of that battle as well, but I don't think that Sparks has the necessary drops to make that happen here tonight. But a couple of different contenders we got to keep an eye on, and of course, no one's going to be taking it easy for these championship contenders. They're all out here trying to battle for race wins here as well. And looking at drivers battling out for race wins here. Looking down at Streets, Sabelski, and Feeney all duking it out here for third on back to about fifth right now. Of course, Streets and Sabelski, both drivers that have taken home championships in the league before. Feeney looking to try and get his first, and even if he doesn't take home the Season 16 championship, he is pretty much good to go to take home the 2024 overall championship in that Liqui entry. But I'd imagine he wants to go for both here. Maybe try and stick it up to Sabelski a little bit. So we'll see what this driver is able to do here. Of course, tonight it's for all the marbles. We did get word from the folks at the ASRC organization next season. Going to be doing a little bit of running at the big tracks, but going to be being a little bit of a more diverse schedule in a very different car from the ones we're seeing here tonight. Going to be running the mini stocks next season. And from what I have heard, rumors about the schedule, there might be dirt ovals, there might be big ovals, there might be small ovals, there might even be road courses on there. So definitely going to be exciting to see what all these Oval Series drivers are able to do in a brand new season and a brand new year of competition with the ASRC Oval Series. Of course, after the conclusion of tonight's event, that will be 4 years of competition that the ASRC Oval Series has been going on for. Started back in December of 2020, and of course, with this being the end of the season, that'll be a whole 4 years for this series, and it is still alive and kicking pretty darn well here, if I say so myself. Still keeping it down here at the battle between Feeney and Sabelski and Streets here. Daniel Sparks also starting to get involved in this battle just a little bit here back in that STP number 4. Sparks, a driver that was having a bit of difficulty in the early goings of 2024, but found a lot of speed towards the end of the year. Back at New Hampshire in particular, driver put on a heck of a show. Currently running back in the 6th position, but he is gaining on this battle going on between Streets, Sabelski, and Feeney here for about 4th on back to 7th is this main battle. The rest of the field pretty much gotten decently spread out here. Right now, this is where all of the action is at. We have gotten word, unfortunately, from Jason Gardner that he has had to retire from tonight's event. Unfortunately, issues with the sim rig here this evening. And of course, that's just a facet of racing. Gotta worry about mechanical failures just like you do in real life. Just comes in the form of technical issues on the computer rather than mechanical issues in the car. So that's one less driver we'll see out here on the speedway here this evening. It's now going to be 9th place is the worst that any of these drivers can finish here tonight. Streets up there also seem to have maybe a little bit of issues there as well in that number 15 machine. Bit of the same technical difficulties that we saw out of Gardner earlier on in the race. He is still out there and running though, so at least for the time being, trying to make something happen here tonight, but we'll have to see how that connection hangs on for him, see if he has any other further issues here tonight. As right now, he's still holding on to a podium spot, having to defend from Feeney up high and Sabelski down low. And already going to get coming across the line here. 14 laps in the books here out of 67. One of the shorter races on the schedule, but of course following the links of the real world races, running quarter length races to the real life 2003 racing season. And big move there by Streets. Now he finds himself up on the high line, battling out side by side with Feeney, and he's going to scrape against the outside wall. That is going to cost him a couple of positions there, as Sabelski and Sparks both managed to get around him. Right on board here with that STP number 4. Taking a look at this battle going on up in front of him here for the final podium position, as Kluge and Royce pretty much just sail away with the field here. A little bit of a bobble there for Sparks. That's going to cost him a spot, with Brian Sabelski managing to get back up to 4th. And now Streets looking to try and go back on the offensive here as well. Capitalize on another driver making the same mistake that he did earlier on in the race. However, not quite close enough to make the move happen, at least this time around the circuit. Still right on the heels though, so plenty of opportunity to try and close that gap up and maybe go for a move here. Sabelski, I was almost wondering if maybe he was trying to save tires a little bit, get something going for pit strategy here, but looks like now that he's found his way back up to 4th, he is pushing again to try and get up to that number 38. Of course, that is the man he has to beat for the season 16 championship here. If Sabelski manages to get it done, this would be his 5th championship in the ASRC Oval Series. And of course, that would be the most championships any driver has had here in the ASRC Oval Series. So we'll just have to see how these drivers manage to make things work here in the later goings of this race, but with how they are battling it out, I can't see either of these drivers getting off each other's heels for any of tonight's event. How about up at the front, though? We do have a little bit of a battle going on here for the race lead. Mark Kluge and Mark Royce here battling it out. Kluge leading the way in that branded number 45. Mark Royce just behind in the Harley-Davidson entry. Kluge, not a driver we often see up here at the front of the field, but he is doing a pretty solid job up there right now. We'll see how these lap times shake off as we come across the line here. Last time by, 34.12 for Kluge, 34.01 for Royce, but despite the speed difference, Royce seems to be having a little bit of trouble trying to make this move for the race lead. Right on his tail, though, he's going to pull down to the inside, tries to make the move, going down into turns 3 and 4. Looks like he is going to make it stick. Mark Royce now back up to the lead of this race, as still Streets and Feeney, Sabelski, and Sparks are all duking it out back at the tail end of this pack. As now Sparks leads the way in this 3-car battle for fourth. Sabelski has started to pull away here just a little bit from these three, but they're still throwing everything they've got at each other here, trying to make something stick. You can see how far spread out it has gotten. Rudolph a little bit further back here in that number 188 machine. 18 on the side of his car, 188 on the timing and scoring tower. Rudolph running in the position where he qualified, and a car in front of him just scraped against the outside wall. I think that might have been Feeney there. Either Feeney or maybe Garrett Streets bumping up against the outside wall again. There was definitely a car having a little bit of a scrape up there, though. But 2x2 down the back straightaway as Streets pulls down low, tries to make the move on Sparks. Will he be able to make it stick, though? Not quite clear. Still up there on the high line for Sparks. And no, just not able to make it happen. Still battling it out side by side as they are duking out side by side for the race lead here as well. Royce and Kluge throwing hands once again, and Kluge once again going to be finding himself up to the front of the field. And still Streets and Sparks battling it out side by side as well. I wish we could get a side-by-side camera going here, because these drivers, they're all split up into pairs, but these pairs are throwing everything they've got at each other right now. We have a top-down view of this battle. Kluge has officially cleared Royce. So for the time being, he is once again our race leader, picking up some bonus points for having led a lap here tonight. And slowly but surely starting to pull away from Royce there. As he comes across the line, we'll see what these lap times are looking like. Last time around, it's looking like a 34.17 for Kluge, a 34.34 for Royce. Their best lap times are slightly different, though. Mark Royce's best lap time, the fastest lap time on the field, is a 33 flat. Kluge a 33.07. Meanwhile, these two drivers that are duking it out further back here, Sparks and Streets, their best lap times are both 33.33. So definitely a bit of speed difference here on the speedway between our front runners and these more mid-pack drivers, but everyone seems to have some sort of match going on here to battle it out alongside with, even if they are spread around the field just a bit. You can see here on the track map, it has gotten pretty spread out around this 1.5-mile speedway. Of course, with only 9 cars on the track, no cautions so far. It's not super surprising that that has happened here. Streets having a little bit of a bobble there, coming off the corner, nearly making contact with the back of Sparks there. That was definitely a little bit sketchy, but everyone's pointed in the right direction, so no big deal. Streets trying to figure out how he can work his way around that number 4 machine. He was running up in the podium, and now all the way back to 5th. Has a 4-second lead over Joshua Rudolph right now, so he at least has that going for him, but still, 5th place maybe not quite where he was aiming to finish here tonight. We'll see what that driver's able to make happen here, especially with those software issues he seems to be having underneath the hood of that sim rig that he's running with. Right up the front, it looks like Royce has fallen majorly off the pace here. I wonder if something happened or if he's just slowed down that much. Not 100% sure here. But now they're battling it out for the second position, 3.5 seconds back from our race leader, as Royce slowing it down even further here. Let's ride on board with this driver, see what he has going on. Maybe he's trying to just fuel save. definitely seems to be doing a lot of lifting here, as he's now another second back from our race leader. We're right on board with our race leader. See if the engine sounds are any distinctly different through these corners here. Because I'm willing to bet that's where we're going to find the speed difference here, as I think this is where these alternate pit strategies might come into play and drivers just trying to save a little bit more. Definitely seems like a bit more liftoff for Mark Royce back there in third. And sure enough, Mark Royce making the call to come down pit lane here. Going to be the first driver down. And so far, it looks like he's kept that number 15 machine pretty clean, so this should just be a completely regularly scheduled pit stop, no hiccups with damage repair or anything like that. We'll see how it works out for him, because no one has elected to come down pit lane along with him. We'll see what sort of pit stop time his crew is able to pull off here. Looks like it's going to be a 14.97 for that team. And it must be pretty dang close, because it looks like on screen it's been rounded up to a 15 seconds. So right on the margin of 15 seconds for that stop, which is pretty much right around where we've seen them be. These drivers that pit later on in tonight's event on this alternate strategy, they might take a little less fuel. They might have a couple of tenths shaved off their pit time, but roughly we should see everyone's pit stops in the about 14.5 to 15 second range. Now it looks like Daniel Sparks is going to be the next driver to come down here onto pit lane, and once again, doesn't look like anyone's coming down along with him here. Solo driver on pit lane here on lap number 34. We'll see how this pit stop goes for this driver, as the rest of the field has gotten pretty spread out around the speedway. Now we have another taker. It looks like Garrett Street's making his way down onto pit lane. Going to be a 15.03 for Daniel Sparks here on pit lane. Now we see most of the field come down. Streets is down, Rudolph is down, Sparks is down, Feeney is down. That will be everyone with the exception of Kluge, Sabelski, and Logan that still need to pit. Street's going to be the first driver to his box. Let's see how the stop goes for him, as our two race leaders now down here as well. Kluge and Sabelski now down on pit lane as well. Looks like it's going to be a 14.6 for Garrett Streets. Daniel Sparks had that 15.03 earlier. Then it is a 15.4 for Feeney, a 16.9 for Rudolph. So Rudolph having a little bit of a slower stop than the rest of the field here. Maybe had to get a little bit of damage repaired. He did have a scrape against the outside wall earlier in the goings of this thing. 14.45 for Mark Kluge. 15.13 for Sabelski. And now Corey Logan, the last driver down on pit lane. That driver currently being scored a lap down here. We'll see how that stop manages to work out for them. But so far, full cycle green flag pit stops successfully completed without too much theatrics going on. And it's going to be a 14.87 for the driver of that 24 machine, so not a bad stop for them at all. Taking a look up here for Garrett Streets and Daniel Sparks battling it out for the third position once again here tonight. Certainly not the first time we've seen these two drivers battling out for the final podium position, and I have a hunch it certainly won't be the last time either. Kluge running up in second. Royce currently controlling the lead of this race. Then it's going to be the two Sparks back in fourth and fifth. Feeney back in sixth. Rudolph back in seventh. And Brian Sabelski is back down on pit lane. And I don't think there was any service done to that car. I think that might have been a penalty stop for Sabelski. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but that's the only reason I could guess that he came back down pit lane, unless he just made some sort of grievous error on the part of the crew on that pit stop, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary for him, so who knows. We'll have to keep an eye on that number 85 machine, because he's currently being scored one lap down, the last car on the lead lap right now. Once again, looking around the field though, things for the most part are pretty spread out. Currently looking at the closest battle on the track here between Streets and Sparks for the third position. And there is a little bit of a battle going on between Michael Sparks and Brandon Feeney back in the fifth position, looking about 12 seconds back from the battle we are looking at here right now. That said, the gap is increasing between Streets and Sparks. The gap decreasing here a little bit between Feeney and Michael Sparks down there in that Rexy-inspired paint scheme. Or a new paint scheme here tonight in that 42 machine. We'll see how it works out for him. Of course, a lot of drivers seem to think changing up paint schemes can be good luck. Whether or not that's the case remains to be seen, but who knows, it might just work out for some of these drivers. Side by side, and Feeney makes the move happen here on Michael Sparks just like that. In the background you can see Joshua Rudolph as well, but he looks like he is about a second back, a little bit over a second back right now. It'll be hard to make that gap back up here in the number 18 machine. Currently, Rudolph and Streets are the only two drivers on the speedway right now that are running in the same position where they qualified here tonight. Mark Royce, Mark Kluge, both up +1 from where they qualified. Daniel Sparks and Michael Sparks both tied for the most improved driver here tonight, both up +4 right now. Brandon Feeney currently up +1. Corey Logan up +1. Then, of course, Sabelski -8 right now, and Gardner, who never even managed to get more than 2 laps complete, currently -5. And of course, that's not going to be changing for the driver of that number 93 machine, unfortunately. We are within 25 laps left to go here at the Homestead Miami Speedway, though. Not a whole lot of time left before we crown ourselves a champion, both for season number 16 and for 2024 as a whole. Tell you what, though, what a crazy season it has been. The first time the league has ever done any sort of event of this magnitude. Of course, always been following the traditional 12-week-long iRacing seasons, and that's why we chopped this 2024 championship into 3 different segments. But it's crazy to think what these drivers have managed to put together, what these drivers have been able to do, competing for a whole year just about in these Gen 4 racing machines. It looks like Rudolph's slowly starting to close the gap up on Michael Sparks here for the 6th position. Still about 0.6 of a second between these two drivers right now. That said, it is rapidly closing the gap between the two of them, as it looks like Sparks might be slowing down here just a little bit. Immediately, Rudolph gets all the way up to 0.2 of a second. Had it less than 0.2 of a second there for just a second. Will he be able to make the move is the big question. Nearly a scrape against the outside wall there. That's not doing him any favors. Also got another battle going on up at the front for the race lead, as once again we find Royce and Kluge duking it out for the front of this field with 21 laps to go here at this 1.5-mile speedway, or 2.4 kilometers for those of you who don't speak in gosh darn freedom units. So definitely not a whole lot of time left to go, especially when these drivers are reaching upwards 180, 190 miles per hour at some point. Mark Royce is currently the single driver on the track that has reached the 190 mile range, it looks like. Royce definitely got a fast hot rod here tonight, and it makes sense that he's been up at the front of the field all evening long, along with Mark Kluge. Both of these drivers have been putting on a heck of a show here this evening. 20 laps left to go. Not really any room for error anymore, so hopefully the pressure doesn't get to these drivers on the final race of the year for the ASRC Oval Series. And of course, gotta give a shout out to Garrett Streets back in third with the SM Racing Products crew, who have been sponsoring the ASRC Oval Series for, I believe, a full 2 years now, if not a little bit more than that. And along with that, of course, they've been providing prizes for the champions ever since they started their sponsorship of the series. And they're going to be providing another prize to the winner of this 2024 overall championship here as well. Actually, I'm pretty sure they're actually going to be doing it for the entire top 3 of the championship here this season. So that is very exciting to see. And a big thank you to them for coming on board and supporting the league for as long as they have. Still watching this battle here between Royce and Kluge. Battle of the marks here as we get within 17 laps to go across the line this time by. For the time being, Royce still leads the way, but not by much. It just fluctuates back and forth between about half a second all the way down to 1/10 of a second here as Kluge hugs the bottom of the speedway, trying to take the shorter line around the track. Of course, with that banking, sometimes the higher line hugging up against the outside wall is just where you want to be. I don't know if Kluge is going to be able to make this overtake happen down on the bottom. Of course, I could be mistaken. I have been wrong before plenty of times, but it's just looking like he doesn't quite have the speed out of the corner to make it happen. And of course, next time around the track, going to be only 15 laps left to go. If this thing continues to stay green, those laps are going to be gone quicker than any of these drivers will think. So really got to be on your A game here. Can't afford to make any mistakes, as Kluge is absolutely ripping that high line there. I'm honestly shocked that he didn't actually touch the outside wall through the corner there, but he's managing to make it work here. And that time he is going to scrape against the wall. That's going to allow Kluge to take the race lead over Royce. Royce scraping against the outside wall on corner exit. And that could be the mistake that decides this race. Of course, you don't want to speak too soon on that, but already up to 0.4 of a second as Royce tries to get back into his rhythm now. Back now up to 0.6 of a second, the difference between the two of them. And still gaining here just a bit. Royce now up to 0.8 of a second, still falling, making it 0.9. I believe at this point he is out of range of the draft. So he's not going to be getting any sort of speed from falling behind Mark Kluge. Kluge needs to make a mistake for Royce to close that gap back up. And Royce coming down to pit lane here with 13 laps left to go. Not sure if this is a scheduled pit stop or not, but we'll see if anyone follows alongside this driver down on the pit lane, and we will get our answer. Mark Royce down there, looks like a pretty scheduled stop for him. 9.5 seconds was the stop, so I don't think he took fuel there. I think that was a tire-only stop there for Royce. If he took fuel, he took an incredibly tiny amount of it. So he's going to make his way back up on the speedway, currently being scored a lap down. Mark Kluge with a 7-second lead here. If he is good to the end, then he has no contest on taking home this race win. Kluge running 5th in the 2024 championship and also 5th in the season number 16 championship here. I believe this would be his first ever win. No, that is not the case. Excuse me, I am wrong on that. He did take home a win earlier this year back at Pocono, actually at both Pocono raceways, along with Indy and looks like New Hampshire as well. So actually this would be this driver's 5th win. Now, I think most of those were at races that we weren't able to broadcast, unfortunately. But going for win number 5, that... Oh, no, excuse me. We're looking at Mark Royce, not Mark Kluge here. They need to stop having such similar names. We're getting things mixed up here. 10 laps left to go here for the entire 2024 Gen 4 series. And sure enough, I am correct with Mark Kluge. This would be Mark Kluge's first ever win, which is what I thought here. Kluge would be taking home his first ever win, but he has 6 podiums to his name here this season. So this would be win number 1 for this driver. It would be win number 5 for Royce, should he manage to somehow work things out in these final 9 laps. He took a major gamble there. Basically, I believe he would be depending on a caution to come out in order to have much of any chance of things working out in his favor, because I don't think he's going to be making up 33 seconds in these final 8 laps here. So it's going to be an 8-second lead right now for Mark Kluge. No one around that he has to worry about. He just needs to get 8 solid laps here and hope that nobody else finds a way to bring out the caution flag. Of course, should the caution come out, then we would have Garrett Streets lining up behind him, who's currently running lap times about 0.4 of a second slower than Mark Kluge. Actually, looking around the field, everyone except Mark Royce is running lap times about 0.4 of a second slower than Mark Kluge is. So even if the yellow flag came out, and of course drivers probably would take tires under the caution, but right now Kluge is far and away the fastest car on the track right now. Coming out of turn number 4, going to be 6 to go this time. By just has to nail 6 more good laps. They don't even have to be fast laps. As long as they are clean laps, Kluge will be okay to take home his first ever league win with the ASRC Oval Series. So far, so good. Heading down the backstretch, you of course see Mark Royce here in the foreground, who just unlapped himself after that pit stop. So he's running back in the 7th position right now as the last driver on the lead lap. And right now, everyone's looking pretty spread out here. So I think if a caution were to happen here, it would be for a self-spin. So ideally, we should be good to go for these final 5 laps of the race. Of course, Barney the flagman up there throwing the big high five up in the air. So only 7.5 more miles left to go here for that number 45 machine before he takes home his first ever league win with the ASRC Oval Series. And what better way to do it in the final race of 2024 for these drivers. 4 laps left to go here at Homestead now. And looking around the track, it does look like there are some lap cars that are a little bit close to each other here, as they slowly work their way on potentially getting unlapped. Daniel Sparks and Brian Sabelski riding around right side by side with each other. Exactly what Mark Kluge does not want to see. That 38 of Brandon Feeney here has the 188 of Joshua Rudolph decently close behind here as well. All Kluge needs is 3 more good laps with nobody making any sort of major mistakes. And hopefully we don't will it into existence for this driver, because we know the commentator's curse has come into effect before time and time again. But surely here, with 3 laps left to go, actually about to be 2 as he crosses the line, that 45 machine should be good to go to sail into the sunset and take home his first ever win. Corey Logan coming back down to pit lane here, as we have 2 drivers battling it out for position. Mark Royce overtaking Michael Sparks there, of course, on those brand new tires, trying to push as hard as he can, make up as much ground as he can here. With 2 laps left to go here at the Homestead Miami Speedway, I don't think he's going to make up much more than he has right now. And coming out of turn number 4, the white flag is going to be going up in the air for Mark Kluge. 1 more lap to go here at the Homestead Miami Speedway, and at this point it doesn't matter if someone crashes, because the caution flag ain't going to be coming out. Mark Kluge is going to be your winner here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. As long as he doesn't run out of gas, he is good to go here to take home his first ever league win with the ASRC Oval Series. Heading through turns 3 and 4, he's looking all good to go. Checkered flag is up in the air. Mark Kluge going to win it here at Homestead. Mark Kluge getting it done here. We will need to wait a couple of seconds for the championship points to get updated. We'll give it a couple moments here to see what we can see in regard to that. We might have to wait until the interviews to officially see the final standings here. Mark Kluge is going to bring it back around to the start-finish line. He is officially a winner here in the ASRC Oval Series. He has etched his name into the record books. He has taken home his first ever win with the league. Alright, you race fans, don't go anywhere. We will be back here in just a moment with some words with your top 3 finishers here tonight. Alrighty, race fans, welcome back to the Homestead Miami Speedway, where tonight we have officially come to the conclusion of the 2024 Gen 4 Championship, and along with that, we have come to the conclusion of season number 16 of this whole 3 season long period. You get the point. We're up here. We have approximately 6 or 7 people in the broadcast booth. So we're going to do our best to get this all done nice and orderly. And we're going to start with our third place finisher here tonight, none other than Mr. Daniel Sparks. Daniel, how are you feeling here tonight?
Feeling pretty good. Feeling surprised.
Surprised? I take it then this wasn't a race you were expecting to come in and walk away with the podium then, huh?
For sure not. I just wanted to survive, but some people ran out of fuel, and it just played into my favor.
Fair enough. I mean, it seemed to me like you had a decently fast car here tonight. So I guess at one point in this race, did you start feeling confident you might be able to make something happen here?
Yeah, I think about a quarter of the way through the race when I started to catch up to Feeney and those guys, and get in that battle, I was definitely confident that I could try and at least do something, maybe at least a fourth.
Fair enough. Well, it certainly seemed to work out for you here tonight. Of course, we're at the end of 2024's racing season now. How are you feeling in general looking back on your performance for these last 36 weeks?
I think it was an awesome season. I definitely struggled with the Gen 4s a lot in the beginning, understanding them, but once I got a good grip of them, I found the speed and it was just so much fun.
Yeah, certainly great to have been seeing you out here running in these Gen 4 machines. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but next season we're not using the Gen 4, so you have to throw all that knowledge out the window. How are you feeling heading on over to the mini stock next season?
I'm feeling okay on the short tracks. I got to work on my tire saving a little bit, and definitely got to practice dirt because I haven't touched the mini stocks on dirt really.
Fair enough. Certainly a lot to look forward to heading into next year. But of course, for tonight, I won't keep you here all evening. The microphone is all yours, Mr. Sparks. Who do you want to thank for making everything happen?
Of course, I'd love to thank Team Mooselanders, my dad, and of course, Jason Gardner, everybody who runs the league, SM Racing Products, just everybody who comes in and races every night. It's just so fun and amazing.
Good deal. Well,
He loves me. He truly loves me.
well, thank you for coming out here tonight and competing in these last 36 weeks. It's been a blast having y'all out here, and I look forward to seeing you in 2025.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for broadcasting.
And finishing back in position number 2, one half of the SM Racing Products crew themselves, it's going to be none other than Garrett Streets. How are you feeling here tonight, Garrett?
Oh, feeling pretty good. Wasn't too sure how we'd run tonight, but just wanted to come out and enjoy Homestead and help celebrate what's been such an awesome season for 36 weeks.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate we couldn't have you out here more often, but always great seeing you out here on the track when we were able to. Going into tonight's event, did you feel like this was going to be a track you'd do well at?
I really enjoy Homestead in the Gen 4. I had some speed here and some other times I've raced. Wasn't too sure how I'd stack up against some of the heavy hitters here in the league, but was hoping to keep the car clean, have decent strategy, and felt like it put us in a pretty decent spot to be competitive.
Well, it certainly seemed to work out for you because definitely we're up at least towards the front for a good chunk of tonight's race, though, and I feel like that can be said for a decent amount of your performances here in the season overall. Of course, like I said, wish you could have been there for more of them, but looking back at the races that you were able to do this season, how are you feeling about this past year of racing?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Unfortunately, we got kind of hindered by internet problems and hardware problems, but the races we were able to come out to were a ton of fun. Managed to score a few wins over the course of the season. So overall, I'd say it was a success. Would love to be able to compete for the overall championship there, but um, really happy with how everything turned out this season, and look forward to another great series in the future with ASRC.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here tonight. And of course, I look forward to seeing you both in 2025 and just in general, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll plan. Yeah, I just want to thank all the people that put this on. I want to thank you for all the broadcasting you do. It's awesome to be able to watch the races back afterwards. I want to thank Jason for all the work he does with putting the league on. So, yeah, just thank you, everyone, and yeah, we'll look forward to seeing us in the next iteration of ASRC.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out. And then, of course, taking home the race win here tonight, if I'm not mistaken, first ever league win here with ASRC, going to be none other than Mr. Mark Kluge. Mark, how are you feeling here this evening?
Feels great to finally get one. I've been close a few times and thrown them away on the last lap a few times, so it's finally good to finally get one and not be so stressed at the end of a race.
Yeah, you and the other Mark had been battling out pretty much all night here tonight. Did you come into here thinking that one, this would be a race you'd be battling for the lead, and two, that you'd think you'd do as well as you did against Mark Royce?
I thought I'd have a long run speed. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get up there to start the race. But yeah, I wasn't expecting to battle for the lead for sure, but I could probably be in the top 3 or 4.
Sure enough, definitely a heck of a run for you here tonight. And of course, like I said, I believe this is your first win, but if I remember correctly, this is your 6th or 7th podium here with the league. So looking back at how things went for you in 2024, how do you feel about your season as a whole?
I've definitely learned a lot. Just about a year into iRacing, so definitely have come a long way since my first league race. I didn't even start the season with you guys. I joined probably 4 or 5 races in, so um, it's been nice to go from just trying not to wreck every lap to being able to battle for the top or for the podium.
Good deal. Well, definitely been great having you out here. Of course, before I let you go celebrate taking home that trophy, the microphone is all yours, Mr. Kluge. Who do you want to thank for making things happen?
I'd like to thank you and Jason for everything that you guys do for the league, and any of the other admin, um, SM Racing products for sponsoring the league, and then my friends and family, and my teammate Josh, for always supporting me. And then I'd like to say congrats to Brian for the season championship and Brandon for the overall championship. It's been fun racing with you guys.
Good deal. Well, congratulations on the win. Thank you for coming out here tonight and for this season as a whole. And I look forward to seeing you in 2025.
Yes, see you next year.
And of course, normally this is where we would end things off here in the broadcast booth, but for the first time here on this channel, we have not one but 2 championships that we need to talk to here this evening. The first one going to be Mr. Brian Sabelski, who takes home the championship for just this 12-week period for season number 16, and that will be his 5th championship here with the ASRC Oval Series. Brian, how are you feeling here tonight?
Pretty good. I kind of knew going in where I stood, and that I was in pretty good position points wise. Really, all I had to do was kind of show up and not be really dumb, and end up finishing like 15th or something. Even that was just kind of a situation where there was like a very thin line through which Brandon could have got the season 4 championship, and when he kind of fell back early, I was in a um, bit of a good headspace where I was like, yeah, I probably got this. I just have to kind of, finish and bring it home no matter what happens. And yeah, overall, season felt like it went pretty well. Had a couple of races where I could have won, but didn't quite get there, and did enough to bring it on home.
Sure enough, definitely put on a solid performance here in season number 16. How do you feel about your general performance with 2024 as a whole?
Uh, when I showed up, I did pretty well. I felt like a lot of good consistency and pretty happy with it. There were, there's always times where you feel like could have been a little further up the field, and it's frustrating. But you just deal with it, and you you move on and keep chipping away at it. And sure enough, just kept punching away, and eventually punched through and ended up winning the season championship, which was kind of what the goal was, I guess you can say, for this season. I knew I wasn't really going to be able to compete for the overall championship, but I knew that I'd have a shot to win the season one, so I just decided to put my mind to that.
Well, season championship or year championship, you managed to take home championship number 5, excuse me, which is definitely by far the most that anyone in the league has managed to get. Do you think next season, when we tackle the mini stock and supposedly go on dirt, go on big ovals, go on little ovals, do you think that'll be where you take home championship number 6?
I'd like to. That's the plan. I don't know if I will. Not because I don't think I can. I just have a lot to practice and a lot to, spend time figuring out this off season. Yeah, well, we're gonna go for it. I got a lot of stuff to learn about getting good on dirt, but regardless, it's been a good time. It's been a good championship. Been a good championship and a good season. So I really can't complain too much. Been pretty happy. Just all in all, just been good times.
Good deal. Well, of course, the microphone is all yours. Who do you want to thank for making everything happen here in 2024?
Oh, thanks to McConey Setup Shop, official setup shop at NASCAR. Always good to have them behind me. Obviously, that's some racing products. Garrett and Jeremy and all of them have been great, and get to use their button boxes, and it's been really helpful. Jason for doing all the hard work, putting everything together and helping get everything figured out. And for putting up with the league every week, and putting up with me and everyone else every week. So yeah, it's been good. Thanks everyone for hanging out on Twitch, my channel, and everyone who watches on Aiden's channel as well. And thank you for broadcasting. Can't say that enough. And yeah, we're looking forward to next year.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here tonight and as much as you could here in 2024. Congratulations on a championship to your name, and we look forward to seeing you in 2025.
Thank you. Oh, and just also thanks to everyone for racing really good this season. A lot of people got better as the season went on, and the quote unquote the easy wins, I guess some people would qualify as that, became a lot more difficult, a lot more tough as things went on. And you love to see it. You love to see people grow and get better, and that was a whole lot of that happening this year. So looking forward, hopefully that happening next year too. And of course, big thanks to Brandon on his season-long championship, and for giving me a benchmark to try and hit every week.
Good deal. Well, of course, you heard it here first. Mr. Brian Sabelski taking home the championship for season number 16. And that leaves last, but most certainly not least by any stretch of the imagination, Brandon Feeney taking home the year-long 36-week championship, the first time the league has ever done a series of this proportion. How are you feeling here, Brandon?
Feeling pretty good. We lost every battle, and I think I finished second in every season-long points championship, but we ended up winning the war.
Sure enough, sometimes that's just what you gotta do, and I mean, that more or less reflects how the real world 2003 racing season went, so, fair enough.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, at first just kind of, popped out to have some fun. We had a really rough first season, especially with Daytona and stuff like that, but yeah, we, after halfway through the season, it was like, we're doing good, and just kind of stuck with it and started stacking podiums, and these guys are getting tougher and tougher to beat each week, and I think I'm getting a little rustier and rustier. But as we jump to the mini stocks next year, I'm probably going to be a couple laps down because I don't even know if I've driven that car yet.
Fair enough. I mean, there's a first time for everything, and of course, you are a short track driver in the real world, so I'm sure something will work out. Probably, maybe. I'm not a real race car driver.
I am, but I'm driving my modified. I've actually never driven a Mustang mini stock in real life. All my mini stocks were front wheel drive, and that's not an option, unfortunately. So, and a lot of the skills for me are not transferable. I got no feel in the seat like I would a real car, but yeah, like I said, it's just we'll try to shake it out, see what happens.
Fair enough. Well, it's certainly been a heck of a season for you, a heck of a year for you at that. I'm pretty sure if you didn't get wins in the double digits, you got pretty dang close to it. How do you feel in general looking back on your whole performance this year?
I think it was pretty good, and like I said, once we got like halfway through and I had a pretty good lead in the points, it was no longer chasing wins and taking bad risks. It was more about just having a good points day. So there was a lot of podiums. I think I stacked up. I want to say there's probably 20 podium finishes this season of 36 races, and unfortunately, when it came to drop weeks, I was losing a lot of points. But I feel like I did pretty good. Probably had a banner year for myself with ASRC, obviously winning the championship, but I didn't have a lot of stupid mistakes like I normally would have. But of course, it came down to Homestead, one of my worst tracks. But we'll have to get better.
Fair enough. Well, either way, it's been a blast watching you out here on the track. And of course, before I let you go, and before I let Mr. League Administrator Jason Gardner have his piece, I do got to ask you, who do you want to thank for making everything happen in 2024?
I gotta thank these guys for putting the league on. Gives me something to do after my other league before I go to bed. It's yeah, still trying to be young and stay up late. Gotta thank you guys for you up there in the booth broadcasting this mostly every week. And then gotta thank Liquid Molly for keeping my real race cars going around the circles. Scratch Auto Works and Auto Tire and Safeties. We're working on getting the new modified put together. It's in the paint shop right now. So if you're in the Ontario, Canada region, make sure you come out and check out the Oscar Modified Tour.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here this season, and it's been a blast watching you. I look forward to seeing you in 2025.
All right, see you later, little buddy.
And then finally, none other than Mr. Jason Gardner, League Administrator that puts this whole shindig on. How are you doing here this evening?
I'm doing good. Bit frustrated that a PC decided to not cooperate with me in the last race, but oh well. What can you do?
Fair enough. Well, the microphone is all yours. Feel free to do what you see fit with it.
Oh, Brendan, it's been a long year season, and after the points have been tied up, you have officially won this 36 race season, something we've never done before. And on behalf of ASRC, SM Racing, I would like to present you with the first place prize of a $150 gift card to SM Racing products.
Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo! Fanfare.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, I think
Yep.
that's just about a wrap, everyone, unless you've got anything else you want to say, Jason.
Do want to say a little bit, especially when it comes to the mini stocks. It's definitely gonna be a fun season. It's good. Can't put the entire season how it's created on me because Aiden, you actually gave the ideas. So besides dirt, and asphalt, we're also gonna be going to places like Road Atlanta, Lime Rock. So yes, on top of ovals, we'll actually be doing a few road courses for next season.
The moral of the story, it's been 36 weeks. I think we all need to decompress a little bit. The rules of the league still obviously apply, but have fun with it. Please, for the love of God. Well, I'm officially declaring that has been that. It's been a blast having you all out here. Of course, thank all of you for coming out for these past 36 weeks and being a part of the league. And of course, thank you to everyone here in the league that's not up here in the broadcast booth here tonight. It has been a wonderful 36 weeks, and I look forward to seeing all of y'all in 2025.
Thank you for broadcasting. You've been awesome. Enjoy watching it every week.
Alrighty, race fans. Well, you heard it here first from the folks here at the ASRC Oval Series. League Administrator Jason Gardner, 36-week champion Brandon Feeney, 12-week champion Brian Sabelski, and a whole myriad of drivers who have put on a heck of a show here at the Homestead Miami Speedway here tonight. But of course, before we sign off for the final time here of the 2024 racing season, how about we take a look down at our finishing results as they stand here tonight? Because of course, Mark Kluge, Garrett Street, Stan Sparks were not the only drivers here in tonight's race. Fishing back and forth, we had our champion Brandon Feeney back there in the Liqui Moly entry, followed by the 188 of Joshua Rudolph, rounding out the top 5 here tonight. Mark Royce in the number 50 Harley Davidson entry back in 6th, followed by the 42 of Michael Sparks back in 7th. Brian Sabelski, our 12-week champion, managing to clinch it here back in the 8th position, followed by the 24 C0 Robotics entry of Corey Logan, and Jason Gardner rounding out the tail end of the field. It's been a heck of a season. It has been 36 weeks in the making. And finally, that's just about all we've got here for tonight's event, race fans. So thank you all for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing y'all in 2025 for a little bit of a more silly series. Run around in the mini stock, playing in the mud, playing on some road courses. It's going to be maybe a little bit chaos, but it's going to be a heck of a good time. Thank you all for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing y'all in 2025.